Hey everyone, welcome back to Interesting People with myself, Tina Calder from Excalibur Press. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by Michelle Connolly from Learning Mole. Learning Mole is a content agency specialising in educational resources for use both at home and in the classroom, and I have to say I have already tried them and they are awesome. Logan loves them, my 6-year-old. And Michelle is an educator and founder of the company, and she's also director of the content marketing agency Profile Tree. So thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me today, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
So what I really want to get to the bottom of is, how does someone go from being in the classroom and teaching, albeit in Egypt, not even in Northern Ireland or the UK, and then end up setting up a website which has now got over 1 million views online across the globe? Like, that's a pretty big step.
Well, I mean, as much as I love teaching, and I was teaching for 15 years and would still do a bit of teaching here and there, I suppose I was constantly being approached by parents asking about how they would teach their children, how they could keep up to date with current trends and different methods. And I suppose they lacked confidence. They didn't want to confuse their children, and they were afraid of maybe doing something that wasn't right, that wasn't within the curriculum. And as you say, I taught abroad, and I came home and I'd set up Profile Tree with my husband in 2010, but had always been teaching. And when I went on maternity leave with my third child, we decided that it was time that I would come into the business, and that's when Learning Mole was also born, because although I was stepping out or sidestepping out of education, I didn't want to leave it behind. And I always had this feeling that, parents were maybe underrepresented, that there wasn't maybe as many resources out there for them, and I suppose that's where I started creating some resources in my spare bedroom at the time, and Learning Mole became, well, I suppose I wouldn't have envisioned it being where it is today, but it's sort of started out as a little sides, I suppose, business, in terms of I didn't want to leave education behind. I think once you're in education, you can never escape.
And I suppose you're the perfect match. So you were used to being in front of people, essentially kids, doing this stuff. So I suppose transferring that to the on camera wasn't a massive leap. And then you just happen to have a husband who's a content marketer. That kind of helps as well,
Exactly, and I suppose, as you say, being in front of the class, slightly different to being in front of a camera, I have to say.
Don't get heckled.
I did. That's exactly, probably a bit easier. And I did suffer the whole thing that, we would see people going on camera, I don't like my voice, and I don't like the way I look, but you just get over that, and as you say, Kieran was there, and because we'd been involved in content for so long, we kind of knew what we were doing in terms of what people were looking for and interesting topics, and I was able to apply, obviously, my education knowledge to that as well.
And of course you got the kids involved as well. What age were they when you started out?
Well, Aaron was 5 and James was 4, so they were very, very little, and I really wanted to give parents a feel that the learning was in context, that it was real, and it wasn't about I'm a teacher and I'm going to tell you how to teach your children. It was really putting the learning in context and actually cataloguing, I suppose, my journey with my own children, what I was doing, how I was doing it, and showing that sort of interaction and that engagement with your children, but with that educational focus. So they loved it from the beginning. They still love it. They have named themselves YouTubers now.
I was going to say, like, you now have 2 little YouTube stars in the house.
Yes, I do.
And they can legitimately say this, because they're not a couple of kids doing it in their bedroom with like 5 people in the class watching them. They're like kids who have like over 1 million views.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, they came home from school actually recently, and Aaron said, I think I'm the only YouTuber in my school, and James popped up and said, no, you're not. I'm also a YouTuber, there's 2 of us in the school. So
brilliant.
No, it's all good. And they've got to the point now where they're actually generating their own content, so they're coming to me saying, Mummy, what should you think we should do this as a topic? Or
That's
Aaron's
amazing.
all into electricity at the minute, so he was like, I think we really need to do something on circuits, and Mummy, I'll help you with writing it and everything. So it's amazing to see that they're really involved in it now, so it's good.
They must for them, it must give them so much confidence as well.
Yeah, and just even I'm seeing their journey from, I mean, we started out very much where the two boys were on camera, and again, as I say, it was very natural, very raw. I would never have prepped them before a camera, still don't. I basically say we're going to play a game that's about addition, and you get what you see. So, you know, you see them making the mistakes, and I think that's so important because, you know, all the children around the world that are doing this are making those mistakes, and it's good to see how to address those with your children. But now that we've moved into the animations as well, that's a completely different skill that they've had to adapt to, because it's all that reading and that expression and actually putting the life into the characters. So it's amazing to see how they've developed their skill as well.
And do they have an interest in this world generally, or is this a hobby for them, or do you think that this could end up being a family business?
I don't know. At the minute, Aaron wants to be a scientist, so I do see him possibly going down the tech route. He's very interested and very logically minded, and likes, wouldn't be the loudest child, but actually loves the attention that he gets from the learning wheel. So it's that quietly confident. And James, he's already said that, you know, he might do something on the side and then be a YouTuber as another part of a job. So
there's kids out there.
He might use YouTube as a sideline, but he doesn't know. He'll think about it.
And there's so many kids out there, and their whole thing. I delivered a workshop up in Derry with a group of kids, and they were all obsessed with being YouTube stars. And it's just amazing to hear that your boys actually have that ability and are in that space. But one of them's actually, oh, well, you know, it's not the most important thing in my life. You know, that's so healthy. But how do you find that in terms of other parents? You know, I know my son is all over social media all the time. He's 6. I don't have a problem with it. But do you think there are other parents out there who are still really reticent and a bit, you know, they're still scared, I suppose?
Yeah, I do. And you know, I can see why parents are so afraid, because, you know, you hear all these stories in the press about children being bullied and all of that, and all the cyberbullying, and, you know, social media is a minefield and it is a very scary place. But again, not to sound about teaching and education, it is all back to education. As you say, you've no problem with it, but obviously you're spending time with your son, explaining to him the dangers of online and social and how to handle it. And I think that's really, really important. Rather than being afraid of it, you need to embrace it, because this is the way life is going to be. This is their world. You know, we're seeing, even just for staff and things in profile tree, you know, the children coming up, the students coming up, the graduates coming out, they're all digital natives. There's things that they don't need to learn. It comes naturally to them. So yes, be cautious as a parent, but also I think you need to give your child the chance to go online and actually give them a chance to try it out, but with that education and that caution that they are informed about how they're using social media. They're informed about how they look on Google or go onto YouTube, and actually give them those skills from an early age, because ultimately they are going to be using it whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And I think that's something that I'm very passionate about, is this is their world. You know, we can't just like make time stop, whereas there's so many parents out there like, no, you can't do this, you can't be on it, you can't look at it. And whereas I'm more of well, if I teach myself, if I learn more about it, then I can help to keep them safe. I can help to, you know, I can help to educate my son on how it works and all of that kind of stuff. And it's so refreshing to hear someone else have the same.
Yeah, because the problem is they're ultimately going to be using it. So I would rather my children using it and are well informed and well educated about how to use it than sneaking around when they get a phone, like when they're 14 or 15. Yeah. You can't really control every single thing of what they're doing and what they're doing in their lives. No. You have some element of control, but you start to lose that as they get a bit older. And I think if I know my children are well informed and well educated and know how to behave and to be safe online, well, at least when they do go on it and maybe I don't know what they're doing, I know they're being sensible and responsible.
Yeah, because you've given them the tools and the techniques and the ability to be confident about how to use it. So taking you back sort of slightly to before learning Mole, what was your journey in education like? Because it wasn't just, you know, a couple of schools in Northern Ireland, you know.
Yeah, slightly different route to most people. So I went to Stranmillis University College, trained as a teacher in drama and English. Actually, was my main subjects, but actually was trained as a primary school teacher. Came out of Stranmillis, and as you know, teaching in Northern Ireland is very tough. There wasn't a lot of jobs out there, and was offered an opportunity in Kent. So I went to teach in England for 3 years, and then kind of decided while I was there that I was away from home, so I may as well go away
further.
from home.
Yeah.
And a colleague had actually recently moved to Dubai, so I thought, well, no better place. Sunny every day and luxury, and I didn't have children then, so I probably had some money to spend, and went to Dubai, taught in Dubai for 2 years. So the first year I taught in an Islamic school, but was British curriculum, so very, very different experience, all Emirati children. Very culturally different, which was really, really interesting. And then I taught in Dubai British School, which was more for expat children. And then decided that my husband actually was offered a job in Egypt, in Cairo.
So you had already met Kieran by this point?
I'd met Kieran before I even went to England. So I met Kieran when I was 19. So
okay.
yeah, a long
really?
time.
Oh,
yeah,
that's really sweet.
So I met him when I was still in university, so before I even graduated. And then he was offered a job in Cairo, so I went to teach in Egypt then, and we went for a year, but ended up staying 6. Yeah. Through 2 revolutions, which was definitely interesting. And then by then we'd had the 2 boys, and we just thought Egypt probably wasn't the safest of places, and not the best place for young children because it's very hot and there's a very little green space. Yeah. So we decided that we would then come home. So then I came home and taught in East Belfast for a year and a half until I went on maternity with my third.
Wow, what a journey, doesn't it?
Yeah, so definitely interesting.
And now you're still teaching all around the world, you know, in one way, shape or another.
No escape.
And so Learning Mole, as you said, has grown quite significantly from you creating a few videos with the kids and popping them up online or whatever, to you're now actually a content creation agency for other educators who need content. Tell us a little bit about that work.
Yeah, so we've just recently signed a contract with a company in China. So we are producing or licensing content, educational animations out to China. We'll send 75 out over the next 6 months, and then we'll go into phase 2, and they will license that material and put it out to schools and parents in China. So.
And how do you just stumble across a Chinese contract? Like, you know, I know that every entrepreneur listening to this is going to be like, seriously though, how do you find a Chinese contract?
Well, they reached out to us.
They find you.
Very, very interesting.
And they obviously find you because your SEO is so good.
Yeah, that's
it. Let's take it back to what the other company Profile Tree do.
Yeah, I suppose it does make a difference. We have that added advantage that any content we produce, especially in YouTube, for example, we have a bit of background knowledge in ranking the content, so we would be very strategic in the content we produce, so to make sure that it's actually content that people are looking for, searching for, or enjoying already, and then as you say, once it's created, actually optimizing it and making sure that everything's there so that people can actually find it and enjoy it.
Yeah. And what's the process for you in terms of coming up with the ideas? I mean, is it a very planned process, or does it sometimes just, it just pops up and that's what you do? Or
it's kind of a mixture of both. So for example, the boys really wanted to do a space series, so that was very planned because we were thinking of all the different titles and what was searched out there in terms of space and all of that. But then also it could be very current, you know, things that are in the news or things that we think need addressed. We'll come up with as well. But it's an interesting process because everything we do is linked to the curriculum. Well, we try to, apart from we do things like life skills, which are like financial capability and recycling and being a good citizen and all of that. But I suppose it's for me, I was looking very much in the curriculum and looking at gaps as well of material and resources that I found that I struggled with as a teacher, and where was I getting this content from? And back to, again, those questions from parents. It's always around that multiplication, that addition, the mental maths, phonics.
Don't even start me on phonics.
Is a great one.
The bane of my life.
So it's kind of insider knowledge with a bit of good old keyword research, mixed with current affairs and some input from the boys too.
And when you're developing, you must get some feedback from, whether it's teachers or parents or whatever. What's that like, when you're getting that feedback?
And that can